As of today, the Cannes Film Festival has just finished up. We have seen what has won the awards, what has gotten the best reactions, what's been the most divisive, and who is in the best possible position to go for a huge Oscar campaign. It all starts now. It's all very fascinating. And today I want to talk about all of the notable releases with you all and see how they're all faring. So let's get into it. So we have to start off with the Palme d'Or winner, which went to Sean Baker's latest film, Anora. This filmmaker has made films like Tangerine, The Florida Project, and Red Rocket. All are really well acclaimed and are beloved by many film fans. I, for one, do quite enjoy his work, and Anora seems like it could be reaching new heights for him and could be the film that launches him into being a potential Oscar nominee. There has been a performance in this that seems like a really breakthrough role for Mikey Madison, who seems like she could be a potential frontrunner for a Best Actress nomination here. The film got a really positive reception out of the festival. Right now it boasts a 96% on Rotten Tomatoes, and you could just tell by the reaction in the room that this seems like it was going to go places and potentially be an award winner at the festival, which it went in that direction and won the Palme d'Or. The standing ovation was a lot more enthusiastic than a lot of the other ones that I had heard previously, and this film does look very interesting. This looks like it's going to take a deeper dive into sex work. This type of style of filmmaking and these types of characters are ones that Sean Baker really thrives at, really analyzing their narratives and bringing light to a part of life that people are usually afraid to talk about. So this film looks like it's really angling in that direction. It does look really fascinating. From the one still or two stills that have come out now for this film, it looks really stylish and impressive. He loves to shoot on film. I'm sure that's no different with this film. And just from the enthusiastic response, I think that film fans are going to be really into what he's got cooked up here. Next up, I really want to talk about Yorgos Lanthimos' new film, Kinds of Kindness, a film that I will be seeing in 2 weeks at the Sydney Film Festival, and I'm so excited to be doing so. This is an anthology film that looks like it's going back to Yorgos Lanthimos before he started doing period pieces, really making these wacky concepts and ideas come to life. It's not like he didn't do that with his period pieces, because Poor Things is definitely strange in all the right ways. And Kinds of Kindness looks like it's really following that route, and looks like a place where Yorgos is going to flex his muscles stylistically, similar to what Wes Anderson did with The French Dispatch. The cast looks really bonkers and really going for it. Jesse Plemons won Best Actor at this festival for Kinds of Kindness. Obviously, he's great in everything he does. We haven't really gotten too much from this movie in terms of marketing or anything like that. So for me, it is still very mysterious as to what it actually is and what it's trying to talk about. And the reactions are somewhat divisive, leaning towards the more positive side of things. It does have an 80% on Rotten Tomatoes, but the Letterboxd curve is a little bit more mixed. You see a lot more 2 out of 5s and things like that. So I do think that if you're not really a fan of what Yorgos does, this might not be for you from how it's looking. But honestly, from what I've seen from marketing materials and trailers and things, it does look very exciting and very fresh and unique, which is all you can ask for Yorgos Lanthimos. It does have a very long runtime, but once again, the reaction from it was quite positive overall. Really excited to check this one out. Okay, I've gone too long without talking about Francis Ford Coppola's latest film, Megalopolis. Easily the most divisive film from the festival. You look at the Letterboxd curve, it's all over the place. Every single score has a ton of ratings in there. The Rotten Tomatoes scores at a 52%. Some people are saying this is a magnum opus, truly ambitious and a wonderful film from Francis Ford Coppola. Others are saying this is just a mess, truly indulgent work that doesn't work at all. I've heard comparisons to The Room. I've heard comparisons to this being just one of the best films of the year and a true swing from Francis Ford Coppola. The performances seem to be really committed to it. From the press conference after the screening of the film, it did seem like the actors were a little bit confused themselves as to what he was trying to say. But Giancarlo Esposito, who's in the film, did mention that when he finally watched it on the big screen, he really understood what he was going for. I think this is going to be a fascinating film that's going to have film fans arguing constantly over the course of the year. I think this film is going to be incredibly divisive with passionate responses all year round. I just really hope this gets distribution really soon and as many people can see it as soon as possible. We know Francis Ford Coppola spent $120 million of his own money to get this film produced, to make his passion project, a film that he's been wanting to make for 40 years. So to see a filmmaker of that regard, the man did The Godfather and Apocalypse Now, so many iconic classic films. So to see this passion project come to life is going to be a very interesting watch, despite how weird and wacky it looks. I'm all for interesting and ambitious films, and this looks to be exactly that from the trailer. As of right now, sign me up. I'm really keen to see it, but I don't know how it's going to go. I don't know whether I'm going to like it or hate it, and I think that's going to be the same for a lot of you out there. I do think the casual audience will not respond to this movie. I'm on record now saying that. I could be wrong. I really could be wrong, and I do hope I'm wrong, but from the trailer and how this looks like it's for film fans only, and that's kind of not what you want to hear when this film costs $120 million. You need some casual fans to really come in and enjoy it for it to make profit. However, I don't think Francis Ford Coppola was expecting this to be profitable, but who knows? It could be. I'm really excited to check it out, but I really don't know if people are going to love this or hate it. It really seems like it's just up to you on this one. We had Furiosa premiere there, and I won't talk about it for too much because it is already out. I have my review out. You can check that out if you like. Also, you've probably seen it as well and have your own thoughts, so I'd love to hear what you think about Furiosa. It does seem like it's all positive. I really enjoyed the movie. I think it's a blast. It goes in a new direction for George Miller and really does feel like a very distinct entry while still being connected to Mad Max Fury Road. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's not doing the best at the box office right now, and that is a bit of a shame. I think that it should be doing well because I think it's such an exciting movie. Despite what you may think of Mad Max in the past or whatever, this film is fresh, exciting, different, and you should go check it out. The film that seemed to have gotten the longest standing ovation at the film festival, from what I've seen from everyone's reactions, was Andrea Arnold's new film, Bird. I've only seen one film from her, and it's a documentary called Cow, which is extremely harrowing. This film is a feature-length film, obviously, with Barry Keoghan starring. Some people think that this could be an Oscar player. It's really too early to tell right now. The Rotten Tomatoes is a little bit more mixed with a 71%, but then I am hearing on Twitter that some people are calling it their favorite from the festival. So it is a little bit all over the place, I guess, but I do think that this will come out being pretty well enjoyed. I just don't believe it right now as a major Oscar player, but it definitely seems like a hit at the festival. Two films that I want to quickly mention that have gotten really great reactions, but are still quite fresh and still working their way through the pipeline. Firstly, The Substance, which was a film that a lot of people thought might have won the Palme d'Or. It got a really positive reception and seems like a real incredible role from Demi Moore. This is, I believe, her first film that has premiered at this festival, and she got a really great reaction. The film looks like to be a really body horror sci-fi-esque film that does seem like it does have some interesting concepts. Not a lot of information on this movie, so there's plenty to learn over the next few months, but really promising opening reactions for this film. Another one is The Seed of the Sacred Fig, directed by Mohamed Rousselouf, who was really positively received at this film festival. I believe he was held down and prevented from making this movie in his home country. He had these photos that he was holding up as he was entering the theater. It just looks like a real emotional film. I'm very excited to check it out. The receptions were incredibly positive, and this may have won the Palme d'Or if it hadn't have come out so late. If it came out a little bit earlier and built that hype a little bit more, it might have won the Palme d'Or because the reactions so far are just incredibly positive. Now going into some more mixed territory, there were two films that came out that did definitely have positive reactions and negative ones too. The first one is Paul Schrader's latest film, Oh Canada. Now, he does have a very acquired taste in terms of his directorial efforts, And people have criticized him for really following a similar kind of thematic analysis in each of his films. And I don't know if this is going to be going in a similar direction, but Paul Schrader's films do work for me personally, and it does seem like if his films work for you, this might be an enjoyable watch for you. However, if Paul Schrader isn't quite on your wavelength, I don't think O Canada might be the one to convince you otherwise. But the synopsis of the film seems really fascinating. A famed Canadian documentary filmmaker gives a final interview to one of his former students to tell the whole truth about his life. A confession filmed right in front of his wife. I think that this film is going to have some very interesting twists and turns. Paul Schrader, director of First Reformed, The Card Counter, and writer of Taxi Driver, is a filmmaker that really likes to dive deep into his characters, really gives a great analysis of his characters, and is great at uncovering certain details as the film progresses that completely spin the narrative on its head. So I do think that this film is going to be going down a similar route, and for me, I'm really excited to check that out. We also got the latest David Cronenberg film, The Shrouds, which David Cronenberg has a very acquired taste himself. He usually dives into body horror, and body horror is not for everyone. So if you're not into body horror, this might not be your thing, but this is said to be a love story and really looks at conspiracy theories. I think that there is a very interesting tale to be told within this film. I'd like to see how David Cronenberg really executes that. It has got a really mixed reception out of Cannes, so it does seem like it's not for everybody, but still an interesting premise and what seems to be a pretty unique film. Another film I just want to quickly mention is Amelia Perez, which also did quite well at the film festival. It got, I believe, 4 of its actresses won the Best Actress award at the Cannes Film Festival, which is not seen all that often. They cited it as basically being that they wanted to award all of them because they didn't want to undercut a single one of these performances that are in it. They were that terrific that they wanted to award every single really mainline actress within the film. I don't know too much about it. There's not that many details about it, but it has got a really great reaction and has won awards. I don't know if it's going to be an Oscar player. It could just be a film festival darling. We'll have to wait and see. But it could be fascinating. Then we have the Donald Trump film, The Apprentice, which I believe Trump is trying to stop this from being played in America, which is quite funny because this film looks like it's going to be looking at the darker side of Trump. Just by saying that, this is going to have a divisive reaction. He's a divisive figure. No matter what side of it you stand on, he draws reactions out of people, and this film is going to be no different. Now, looking at the still from this film, you would think that it would be like an Adam McKay type film, where it's this satire, but from what I've heard, this is actually a lot more darker and a lot more played off like a straight drama compared to an Adam McKay film. This stars Sebastian Stan as young Donald Trump. It's basically him back in the day in the 80s, before he was even a president, but this still looks like it's going to be looking at that darker side of him. Jeremy Strong looks like he's going to be giving a great performance in the film. The reactions are saying that he basically steals the show, and that doesn't surprise me. If you've seen Succession, you know how good of an actor he is. And Maria Bakalova is also going to be playing Ivana Trump, which is also what seems to be great casting. And I for one, am really excited to check this one out. I don't know if it's all going to work for me. I, for one, am not really fascinated in Donald Trump all that much, so this doesn't seem like it's entirely for me, but I am interested in checking it out and seeing what it is actually trying to say. And the last film I want to talk to you about, the Western epic, also kind of self-funded from the filmmaker Horizon and American Saga Chapter 1. This is Kevin Costner's latest epic Western franchise almost. I've heard that he wants to turn this into 4 films. This film alone goes for 3 hours and has gotten pretty negative reactions out of Cannes. It has a 30% on Rotten Tomatoes. It doesn't seem that positive on Letterboxd. Honestly, I don't know if this film is going to play that well. I, for one, have never really been that excited for this movie, but you know, who knows? I could watch it and really be enamored by it. I will check it out just to see it, but I'm not really expecting much, and I don't think you should either. However, if you probably like those Western films in the 60s, 70s, 80s, this could be a great reminder of those movies, but I think if it's not for you, it's not going to be for you. Who knows with this movie? And those are my thoughts towards some of the reactions out of the Cannes Film Festival to a lot of these notable releases. There are plenty of other films that released there that also seem quite interesting, like the new Nicolas Cage film. Plenty out there that could really pop up and be hits later on in the year. But as of right now, we have a good slate of films that could be Oscar players in the future. Some that just look like amazing, interesting watches, and some a little bit more divisive that you could probably swing either way on. Anyway, is there a particular film that you would like to see out of this festival? Is there one that you really have your eye on, that you are really hyped for? There are a couple that I'm quite excited for myself, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. If you really love my content, consider being a member by hitting the join button down below. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.